fancied bragging about their affiliation with being the offspring of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob. And they were adamant about the necessity of law keeping. However, as I said already, not only did Abraham not know of any law, but neither did Isaac and neither did Jacob. And yet these are the men of whom those under the old Jewish economy love to boast of their affiliation. And yet neither of these men knew anything about the law that Moses would bring some 400 years later. But the promise, as I have stated, was already made to Abraham before. And for a person today who's going to be saved, you are only going to be saved one of two ways: through the keeping of the law or through the believing in the promise. Abraham believed in the promises of God, and the promises of God were counted to him as righteousness. But the Bible tells us that no man shall be justified by any law. No man. So all those people who seek to be saved by keeping the law, no matter how you try to paint this picture, it will never generate salvation in those who attempt to keep it. But now back to Abraham and Sarah. Sarah had one handmaid. That handmaid's name was Hagar. And this handmaid named Hagar was an Egyptian woman. And she worked for Sarah. Now Sarah, laughing at God's promises because she was well beyond years and her womb was barren and dead. Her womb was a tomb that could not produce life. It was dead. So, she did not believe that there was any possible way, with the circumstances that prevailed around her, that God could possibly accomplish what he promised to do without her assistance. Sarah wanted to help God out. She wanted to do a brother a solid, essentially. She wanted to help God out. It never occurred to her that if God could make the promise to deliver on her having a child through whom all of the promises of God would flow, and most importantly, the Messiah who would come from that line of faithful people, if that couldn't happen, then Sarah wanted to provide help. I lost my train of thought a little bit there. In any case, so what does she do? She's like, well, I'm old, too old to have children, well beyond years. My husband is older than me. And God tells us we're going to be the parents of a multitude which no man can number. It would help if we could start out with a child, but I can't have any children. This was the condition. She didn't see